Okay, welcome everybody. Let's call the meeting to order and please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome. This is Matt Kaufman's official first meeting as a board member, appointed board member. So welcome. And we will get right to it with our National Merit Finalists presented by SHS Principal, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank you very much. This is not something we get to do every year. It's a huge honor and a very select award that around the nation that very few kids get to achieve this level of accomplishment. And so I'm very excited and proud to get to introduce Kylie Johnson. For those of you that may not know, students take their pre-SATs and some other qualifying tests they're earlier in their high school career, and that moves them on to become a National Merit semifinalist. And then through their application, which is an essay, their strong academic record, recommendation from people at their high school, a select, even more select few get to move on to be a finalist. And Kylie was chosen to be a finalist this year. And then she also has to score quite high on the SAT or the SAT, which has to match her pre-SAT score so they confirm that the success or the achievement is continued throughout her courses. So she is headed to Cornell next year. As with all National Merit finalists, you get some pretty good leverage in your acceptance and scholarship. She is going to be a double major in government and also in environmental sustainability. So already she's achieved high levels of success and already shooting really high. So we're very proud of her for her accomplishments and what she represents for Sherwood High School. And she wanted to give a couple quick words.
I just wanted to shout out some of my teachers. I wanted to thank, they're not here, but I just wanted to tell you that they're awesome. I wanted to thank Miss Richardson, Mr. Putney. I love Mr. Putney. If you ever meet him, he's awesome. And my AP art teacher, Miss Radica, Miss Shuckero, also Mr. Shuckero, but especially Miss Shuckero. No offense, no offense. I'm sure you're great. And yeah, that's about it. And I just wanted to thank, Sherwood School District and everything. So thank you.
One thing I wanted to point out from after listening to her talk about her different teachers is just from the teachers that she highlighted and then knowing what else she's taken. Kylie isn't just sitting there taking high-level academic courses only. She's taking a wide variety of art, choir, quite a few things that keep her well-rounded and keep her involved in the school. And so just really proud of everything she's accomplished. Absolutely.
One of those things with youth and government, I really wanted to shout out Miss McCusker. Shout out to her and Mr. King. Youth and government was also a big thing that I did. So thank you.
All right. So one more round of applause for Kylie. Thank you.
Thank you. That's amazing. We are so proud of you, and I can't wait to hear about your endeavors as a double major. That makes me nervous from just hearing it. I'm gonna be you when I grow up. Congratulations. Okay, we're gonna move on to recognition of our ASB representative to the board. So ASB voting happened. And our new ASB representative for next year is Paige Squires. And she's sitting up there next to Ethan. But before we pass it over to Ethan, we want to say thank you very much, Ethan, this year for being ASB rep. We have thoroughly enjoyed your reports. And you've gotten to introduce quite a few groups from all over the district, which were actually really fun to see. And I hope we can continue that. That was pretty fun for the board to actually see these kids in action and get to see a wide variety of like what we're doing in the district. So that's great. So we do have a little gift for you as you make your way to the University of Chicago. So. So with that, we can give you your student update.
Well, thank you, board. I don't know how I can follow that. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to start off the same way we do all 4 of these for my last report. Academics, arts, activities, and then athletics. So starting off with academics, we only have 12 days left in the school year for seniors. It's crazy because it feels like it was just yesterday. And it really does that I was giving my first report here for the board. And I was really nervous because it's a lot of people I've never met before. And it's like, whoa, I'm talking. So the countdown is on. Our juniors just began their state testing. And so that continues this week through Wednesday. Last week, AP testing wrapped up. So everyone who made it through those long tests is now waiting for their official scores to come back this summer. And this Wednesday, we're holding auditions for our graduation speaker from the class of 2025. So how we select our speaker at the high school is every single valedictorian, we actually have a lot of them every single year, which means that they have a 4.0 GPA. So that means that they've achieved all A's all 4 years of school. And so any of them who want to have the opportunity to give a speech will kind of write one up, and then they go through this audition process. So that takes place on Wednesday. And so we're kind of finalizing all the details for graduation, which is just crazy that it's right around the corner. Doesn't really feel like senior year. I don't feel like I've been here for 4 years. And trimester 2 honor roll just went out. And so we've got a bunch of kids that we got to highlight for their achievement inside the classroom, keeping up their grades. It's cool. We have one of our award cases at the high school is where we put them up, and there's just names and names and names and names of students who have just worked hard to achieve so much at the high school. And so it's cool to see. For arts, as everything kind of comes to a close this year, the Mixolydians perform this Friday at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. And next Wednesday, choir hosts their spring choir conference, which is also at 7 p.m. and also in the auditorium, which is followed by the band finale concert on Thursday at 7. Then on Friday the 30th and Saturday the 31st, our drama department presents their play festival. Guess what? It's also in the auditorium, which is 2 nights of performances starting at 7 p.m. And all this week, the AP Art Show has been going on, which is where all of the portfolios from every single one of the AP Art students is displayed in one of our hallways at the high school. And so it's kind of cool because it turns that hallway into like a kind of art gallery, and you get to kind of see what all of these students have been working on all year. And this Wednesday, no, not this Wednesday, May 21st, it will be open for public viewing so that any member of the public can come kind of walk through and see what these students have been working on so hard for this year. I always enjoy the experience because it's really cool to see all the different sides of people, because the way that each individual person kind of takes their portfolio in different directions is really fascinating to see. But there's also a lot going on outside the classroom for activities as we go to, close this year out. I first want to say a huge thank you to everyone who helped make Prom a success this past Saturday. It was awesome. I had a great time. I know a lot of people had a great time. Every single year, it's actually planned by the junior council as kind of a gift to the seniors. And so they did a great job this year. And so thank you guys so much. Multicultural night is tomorrow from 7 to 8:30. So that's a night where we kind of celebrate the diversity of our school community, and we kind of look at all the different populations that make up Sherwood to be who we are and how we can kind of represent them within our school. And on Wednesday, We kind of talked about it a little bit when you introduced Paige, but we have fully wrapped up all the interviews for at-larges and all the elections and everything, and so the list for who is going to be representing the student body next year at the high school is all solidified, and so they will get formally inducted on Wednesday. And then the next following Wednesday, they'll have their first meeting of the year to kind of start talking things over. And yeah, it's gonna be great. And then on Thursday, FFA is hosting their annual banquet. I believe you all got letters, board members, to kind of invite you to come to that. I have attended multiple times. It's great. They do a bunch of cool stuff, and it's really cool to see what the FFA program and all of those CTE programs at the high school kind of participate in. I know that the welding classes made barrel smokers this year, and they, bacon wrapped tenderloin. I got served some of that, some apple pie. It was fantastic. They're good at cooking down there. And then athletics. The track season is coming to a close. JV wrapped up their district meet last week, and varsity competes in districts this week. For those that qualify to go to state, it's kind of a complex process. They will head to state next Friday and Saturday. And girls lacrosse has wrapped up their season, and boys lacrosse heads into playoffs this Friday, and they're currently ranked 9th in state. Golf State is happening today at OGA, and we have 5 boys that are going to represent Sherwood High School, and then 1 girl is representing the girls team out on the course today. And baseball is currently ranked 4th in state. They're not finalized for the playoffs yet because they've got a couple more games this week. So they have their first round playoff matchup next week, but we don't know who they play yet. And their senior night is this Wednesday, last home game. And softball is also highly ranked in state, and they're sitting at number 3 right now. And just like baseball, they've got a couple games to play before they can finalize that schedule for the playoffs. So stay tuned for who they're playing. Our new sport, I know I've talked about it a little bit, but boys volleyball actually made the playoffs for their debut year. And they will compete this Wednesday at Central Catholic at 6:30 p.m. And then finally, a big congratulations to both our boys and girls tennis teams for making it to the end of their seasons. At districts last weekend, the girls team won, and 2 singles and 2 doubles teams are headed to state next weekend. And that's all I got for you. That's the closing statement. Now, I'd like to introduce Paige, talk a little bit.
Yes, like Ethan said and everybody else has said, my name is Paige. I'm really excited to be our ASB president for next year. I think it holds a lot of great things, and I'm so excited to work with all of you on that. And like Ethan, give these reports and just be involved in our school more. If you have any questions or comments or concerns about next year, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm just so excited.
Thank you. We're super excited to have you. Okay, we're gonna jump to our superintendent update with Dr. Downs.
Great, thank you. And Ethan and Paige, as you're leaving, I just want to say on behalf of our team as well, thank you for being such a great liaison. And Ethan, we hope you enjoy the last few days here with high school. And Paige, just hope you have a wonderful summer. And we look forward to working closely with you and supporting you in your journey. And thanks for stepping in. So, yeah. And you look significantly younger than you did last meeting, Ethan, so. He was dressed in disguise for a game that seniors were playing. So I was glad Ethan was okay. I want to highlight a fact or to something that Ethan spoke about. There's a lot that happens at this time of the year, and as we are working hard, as our staff is working incredibly hard to give our students a great experience at the end of the school year, there's a lot of other things that you're invited to as a board and as a community. Friday night was a good example. I had an opportunity to attend 2 different carnivals, one at Middleton and one at Ridges. And then after that, was able to support our baseball team who was hosting a game and our softball team who was hosting a game as well. Both won by a large margin. I did hear a familiar voice, by the way, at the softball because we want to make sure our high school principal stays committed to supporting, that. And so Mr. Mitchell, excellent job as the announcer for the girls softball team. So I thought it was piped in from earlier tape or AI, but it was really him. So I wanted to say thank you. And then, of course, in lacrosse had a game right after that. So it was a fun and busy evening there in the Sherwood School District. I also want to say thank you, as I did have the opportunity to attend the carnivals and fairs, that it is so much fun to see our PACs work so hard. And the volunteer effort and energy to make that work is really impressive. What I will say is most exciting to me is the kids that are there, that are high school and middle school kids that are coming back. Majority of them went to that school and are like giving back and remember it themselves. And I had an opportunity to go talk to a number of kids, and I said, "Did you go here?" And yes. And then a couple times they're just, "No, but my friend did, and that's why I'm here." So that was really fun to just spend time listening and talking with them. And they are just well attended, and I'm glad the weather has held up for most of them. So that's been fun. I did hear some fun weather stories of previous ones, so I'm glad that one was okay. I also want to say thank you to our parents and the guardians for their participation in conferences this year from spring across our whole system. I know our staff works hard to be ready and prepared to share and communicate how things are going, and I thank our parents for their efforts. There's a lot going on, especially in the spring, but we appreciate their commitment to supporting their students there. I want to give two other updates. Next fall, our district will be moving to a door-to-door practice with no cell phones, K-12. This will allow students to be able to store them in their backpack or leave them at home, or for our high school students, they may choose to leave them in their car. But this is our current K-8 practice. And so for the majority of our students, this is what they know, but our current 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will have a little bit of a shift. And so we're trying to give people a little runway between now and the fall. And so we're asking families and students to have those conversations now. I want to let everyone know that we are excited and interested in increasing these opportunities for stronger academic engagement, richer social interactions, and continued enhancement of the already positive culture we see at the high school. One of our intentions out of this is actually to grow friendships. We think that creating human connections is really important, and we are hopeful that it goes really well. We know it will, and we've appreciated our middle school who did this year and have had really good results. So our high school administration and district office will continue to support and work with our high school team to make sure that they have support for implementation and for rollout with kids and staff. And I want to just thank the board for their support as we move in this endeavor. We've had several excellent conversations around this, and I want to say thank you. You will hear some communications statewide. This has been a conversation. This is a national conversation, but statewide, they are considering a bill that will ask districts to have certain requirements in regards to cell phone usage. We think it's important no matter what that decision is. We actually are excited about our movement here. And so this will be within their whatever decision they're making, this will be well within what they're asking as well. So we're ready for that. And the second thing is something I brought up previously, but I want to bring back to the board to let you know that next fall we are going to see an enhancement to our safety vestibules. And so those security upgrades are going to occur between now and during the summer. And I just want to let families know that the biggest shift that they will experience is they will still have during the morning time, there's still the open doors, and the administrators and teachers and staff are out there greeting folks. And there will be a time when those close. And then the new upgrade will be, we have video intercoms where families and visitors would come and they'll be in the vestibule, which is the actual design of those vestibules. And they have a video intercom communication with our office teams. something for me that's really important is that we remain warm and welcoming. And I know that that's actually about people. And I am just impressed with our office teams because they are that. And so we are going to ask our families to, support and work with us with that. And I just wanted to, again, give a little bit of a runway that will be an enhancement to our vestibules. This is common across the state. In fact, it's, I would say almost the norm now amongst almost every district that I interact with outside of our own. So I just wanted to let you know that we're excited. And I also want to thank the board for your support and your commitment to always, improving our safety and security. So that's my report tonight, and thank you very much.
Thank you. So there will be a board update from every director tonight, so buckle up and we'll start with Director Thornton.
All right, I'll make it kind of brief, but right at the end of the year, so I just wanted to just give some shout outs and kudos as due. So this is my first year I get to be a band parent, so that was really fun to see that happen. And so I did get to attend a bunch of beginning band, but also a lot of other band concerts as well. And I went to the Swinging on the Green. I know as Dr. Downs has talked about this parent support, and holy cow, is there a lot of parents' involvement in that fundraiser. And it was really cool to see all three. I couldn't believe there were 3 high school jazz bands. Like, that's incredible. I think that's a very unusual thing to see. So it was a great time. It was a really fun experience, and I hope my son continues to want to do it because it was a really cool thing. Second quick thing I want to do is just a quick shout out because we are going to be talking about elementary science coming up to later in the program tonight. So I did get to do some classroom visits, and I just want to say that it is so cool. As a former teacher, I taught secondary math, and I did teach some science. But I'd never worked, down in the elementary level and seeing what science looks like down there. And I have to say, it was really cool to see. They are absolutely doing inquiry. They're writing their, they don't call it a, hypothesis and theory and stuff like that yet, but it's still like they're asking the questions and they're trying to come up with their prediction about why something is happening. And it was a scientific process. And it was really, really neat to see in action. And so just thank you to all the staff that accommodated me to be able to come into those classrooms and see that. I really appreciate it. So that's it.
Yes, thank you. Ethan actually covered everything I was going to say. So I won't bore you, but I'm going to ask Adam a favor. I have never, ever seen a live National Merit finalist in person. And I should have interrupted Kylie. I didn't know when to say that, but pass the message to her that that's a first for me. That is so impressive. I know what it means. And it was quite remarkable for her. So pass that along if you would. Maybe I'll bump into her at graduation and tell her that, but that's it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Kaufman. I'm a newly appointed board member. For those of you who are wondering why I just appeared out of nowhere for this month's meeting. And I am a parent of 2 Middleton Elementary School students. So I also had the pleasure of attending and volunteering at the Middleton Carnival. And I just wanted to give a shout out to all the parents who volunteered or brought their on Friday night. It's hard to get out the door and spend an evening in a very loud, chaotic environment, but it was a lot of fun, and the fun was really contagious. You had a lot of elementary school students running around with 2 liters of pop that they won at the ring toss. You had people outside doing all sorts of bounce houses and fun games. I was able to donate every muscle in my lower back doing the bowling game and setting up pins for a couple hours. It was a ton of fun, and all for a great cause. So thank you to the PAC. Thank you to everybody who supported either financially or by attending the event. It was a lot of fun. The students had a blast, and it's really important for all of the different programs that we're offering at the elementary level.
All right. Remember when they used to have goldfish? You probably don't remember that.
Yeah.
That used to be a real thing. Similar to that, yeah, right? They had goldfish. I had lots of them. Similar to Matt, I got to go watch the science curriculum and it was really cool. The teachers kept apologizing because they were like, this wasn't the greatest of all the lessons. And it was still amazing. The kids were so interactive. They were having such a good time. Me, who cannot remember like what I had for breakfast, can totally remember the science lesson because they were so engaged with it. It was also really cool to see the different classroom management. We don't get to be in classrooms a ton. And even silent things, they have a student teacher who is fluent in ASL. And she would just do different things with kids to like say that they shared ideas. And it was really neat to see how responsive the students were. I'm used to kids interrupting and everyone raising their hand. And it was just cool. It was a very fun experience to watch them all collaborate like that. And it was neat to see that this curriculum is being used so well in that classroom. So I loved that. That's one of our favorite things to get to do. And then really full circle moment for me, when I first started on this board, we had a parent that I did not know come in and defend a teacher that I did not know. And she said that the teacher was the bee's knees. And my daughter has had her for 2 years. And we did this activity last week where she invited parents to come in for the reading restaurant. I sent you a picture because it was so cute. But we came in and the whole place was decorated like a restaurant. The kids were all decorated like waiters, and they'd bring you like a little serving tray with a menu of books and ask you what book they'd like, you'd like to have read to you. And it was so cute. And then you got to write a little comment card about how well they did. And it was amazing. Like every table was full. Every kid read tons of books. And I just was like, wow, this teacher really is the bee's knees. Like my kid had such a good teacher. So I just have to shout her out because I love her, but that's Miss Cox. So it was a cool experience. I love getting into the classrooms. And even though we do get invited to things like this and we can't always go, it is really awesome when we get to attend. So thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Well, I have been gone for 2 months, so mine is a little long as well. When I was gone for the April meeting, I was actually at the annual Oregon Athletic Directors Conference in Sun River, so I was having a much better time here than you were. But what I got to witness one of my mentors be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that was very rewarding for me. And then also I got to see our very own Katie Hartman accept the award for 6A AD of the year. And she gave me a high five as she went up at the table. So it was pretty great. Really proud of her for that. She's only been an AD for 3 years. I think this is her 3rd year. That's a tremendous honor. I think someone said it was from OSAA. It's not. It's from Oregon Athletic Directors. That's their conference. It's not from the OSAA. People kind of intermix that information. So what else? There's so much to pick from in May. May is so hard. There's so much going on, so many things to do. My daughter was at the Archer Glen Carnival. She's a 7th grader, and she was doing the glitter face paint booth, and she had a blast. And Dr. Down saw her, and their line was the longest, and she did it for 4 hours straight, and she had a blast. So, I last minute jumped in and did bag check at the middle school dance. What I thought bag check was that night was like with a flashlight and gloves looking for contraband, and it was like coat check. So I was severely disappointed. I was like thinking, this is gonna be great. So no, we're just like, we checked in like 85 Lululemon bags, and then they're all black. So it was still super fun. I'm pretty sure people go to those dances just to buy the snacks, but there was a million kids. They had a blast. And then I went to the plant sale. That I hope you all went to the FFA plant sale, because man, did I drop some money there that morning. Like it was amazing. Everyone got a flower basket. Everyone did. So, and they did great. And I talked to Miss Meadows, and she even said that they kind of had like a little fungus go through the greenhouse before the whole sale happened, but they like rallied and fixed it, and then you wouldn't have known. And here I am sharing it. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, but they fixed it, and they had plenty of baskets to sell. So that's working through a problem. Good job. So beyond May, we're still not even done with May, but as we look forward to June, the board is planning our summer workshop retreat. That's where we're going to work on our board goals and agreements and agenda planning for the next school year, and then continue to build our board and superintendent team. So that will happen in later June. And that's it. That's all I got. And with that, we will just go straight into consent agenda. Do I have a motion? to pass the May consent or the April consent agenda?
I motion to approve the May consent agenda.
Wonderful. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then there is no public comment tonight, so we will move past that and we are going to go straight into information and discussion. Secondary health instructional materials adoption from Patrick Shukro, Danny Cogren, Emily Gustafson, and Raheem Tufts. You are up.
All right, hi everyone. Good evening, board. I'm here with three wonderful health educators, Danny Cogren, Emily Gustafson, and Raheem Tufts. Danny's with the middle school and Emily and Raheem are with the high school. And we're here to share about the health adoption process, the year-long process that we conducted, as well as share information about our recommendations for new health curricula. And we'll wait for the slide. Okay. I'll be sharing a little bit about the process and then I'll turn it over to our teachers to share about the curriculum. Our first stop is with the vision for health instruction. This sets both the tone and the direction of what we want our students to walk away with when they leave our system, our school district, in regard to their own personal health and the health of others that they are around. So we can see the vision there: empower students through standard-based health education, equipping them with the knowledge and skills to become informed advocates for their own well-being throughout their lifetime. Some key terms there are empowering students and equipping them. We want them to be independent when they leave us so they can make the best health choices that they can make that are right for them and their families. Another piece of context is our health guiding principles. These are some of the key ideas that we use to gauge whether we want to move forward with a particular set of materials. There's a lot of them, so I will highlight two. The first one talks about systemic and individual protective factors. We want our students to learn what they need to learn now so they can avoid negative health outcomes. That is a preventative approach. And then the sixth bullet down is a focus on skill-based instruction. That is a big focus for us. We want students to walk away with key skills that they can take forward with them, regardless of the content. In regard to health instruction, we're talking about health literacy, making great decisions, learning how to advocate for yourself. So those are key skills that we want our students to walk away with. Okay, moving on to process. You can see here our process started in October. We'll talk about each one of those individually. It starts with a standards review and audit of our current practice, so that lays the groundwork. November and December, we are researching and gathering instructional materials. In December and January, we review those materials and we plan our pilot. And then in January through March, we pilot those options, which means we are trying them out in our classrooms. And in March, we evaluate our findings from our pilot and then gather information from our community about those resources. Here are our teams. We are the perfect size district. So every health and PE teacher was able to participate in this adoption process. You can see the 7 middle school teachers there and our 3 high school teachers. Okay, step 1 is taking a look at our standards, noting that there are new standards released by the state. So these are those are the skills and the content that we are required to teach by state law. So we do a deep dive into those standards. There are a lot of them. So one of our primary outcomes is to identify essential standards. So what are the areas that we want to make sure we go deep on rather than just taking a broad look across all the standards. We do cover all the standards, but we want to make sure that we hit the most important things. You can see there in that second bullet, endurance leverage, and readiness. Those are the three criteria in which we measure the what we like to deem as essential. Okay, this slide is an audit of our current practices, and I thought it'd be helpful for you to just get a sense for what health instruction looks like at the secondary level. So on the left side, our middle school, we would like to continue offering health instruction in all three grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th. It is embedded within PE classes. So students are enrolled in a PE class, and then throughout the trimester, they leave the PE setting and they move into the classroom setting for about 3 weeks, and they receive their health instruction there. Cohorts move together to support peer-to-peer and student-to-teacher relationships and trust. And then all teachers teach health and PE, so all 7 of our teachers. At our high school, there's a lot of things that we'd like to continue. Health instruction at the high school occurs in 10th grade in an A-B format. So it occurs over 2 trimesters in the sophomore year. All opt-out optional lessons are in one section, and that's section A. And that's really just a matter of there is effort and coordination that goes into making sure that we can execute opting out well. And so having that all in one try instead of spread over 2 just helps with that. We like to include various forms of assessment. And then again, cohorts move together to support peer-to-peer and student-to-teacher relationships. There are some things that we're looking to change through this process. Number one is that we'd like to focus on student engagement. So the materials we're looking at is, are they engaging to students? Do students want to interact with this material? 2 is we'd like to adjust opt-out language to be more student-friendly. This is in the spirit of giving our families as much information as we can. Right now, the feedback that we have received is that starting with standards first feels a little bit opaque. It's hard to understand exactly what we're getting at, and getting to the lesson level right away just makes a lot more sense. So just be really plain about this is what the lesson is talking about. And then I'll add one more element there. One thing that we has been a challenge thus far as well, especially at the middle level, is that our current publisher has restrictions around what we're able to share. And so we have a system, it's the best we can do, but it also requires families, if they want to actually read the lessons, they have to come into the school, they have to get the set from the front desk, and they sit there and they read the lessons. We'd like to fix that. So all the curriculum that we viewed is completely accessible down to the lesson, material, worksheet, slide deck, video level. So that provides a great opportunity for our families to feel like they know exactly what content is covered over the course of their health education. Okay, on to the next step. We spend time researching and gathering materials. You can see a spreadsheet there that shows the scope of those materials and which ones we selected to move forward with. There's quite a few. So we reviewed 6 complete curriculum and then 20 standalone resources. This is somewhat unique in the health area, in which we are often utilizing a lot of supplemental resources. Okay, we get together as a team and we make decisions around focusing down that large set of materials into something that we can pilot. So we can see there at the middle school, we reviewed 4 complete sets, 5 supplements, and we decided to pilot 2 complete sets of materials. At the high school, we reviewed 3 complete sets, 10 supplements, and we decided to pilot 2 complete sets with 2 supplemental materials. Okay, one of our last stop here in terms of process is we gather as much feedback as we can, again, from the community, but also from our piloting teachers. We are trying to get a sense for what we're looking for in regard to student engagement, but also just feasibility, accessibility. Does it work with online stuff? Is it transparent to our families? So we're considering all of these things that allow us to make the best choice. And I'll turn it over to Danny, who's going to share about our recommendation for our middle school curriculum. Okay.
Okay, there we go. All right, good evening. So I'm Danny Cogran, a teacher, a health and PE teacher at the middle school. Thank you, I'm short. And so we did our pilot. I was really happy that all of our teachers were able to participate in that pilot at some level. And after piloting, we decided to move forward, hopefully, with comprehensive health skills for middle school. There was many reasons for this, but we've hit the highlights on the slide here. Number one was the integration and navigation was very easy to use with our Canvas platform. The lessons were really easily found by the students, which we found was extremely important because our other one we had some issues with, marrying the two and matching that up. And that really caused some struggle for our students. So we realized that was really, really important. And also then the transparency Patrick talked about for the families to be able to see, those lessons online, all there was very critical. Then we really liked that they were very comprehensive resources, a wide variety of skill building activities. They had pre-made slide decks, numerous resources for each lesson, for each teacher to be able to pick and choose, what suited they felt like their classes and their personality best. But a little like just a menu of choices, so which was really, really nice. They were also very flexible and customizable, which was really important to our team, so that we could edit those documents, have an organized scope and sequence. That was something that we did struggle with in our previous curriculum, is just that we had a middle school set of stuff, and it wasn't necessarily broken down too much into 6, 7, and 8. And so we found there was a lot of things that were extremely repetitive for the students, and they'd be like, we did this last year. I mean, some lessons were literally at every single 6th, 7th, and 8th, and that was just that was not rigorous for our students. It was not engaging, and so this one we found really like a ton of stuff, and it already has recommendations for 6th, 7th, and 8th. We're not seeing the repeats, which was really nice. And then just engaging and relevant. Information is presented in a way that is engaging for students, very up to date and relevant. And we also really like that we can adapt. I'm going backwards, sorry, a little bit with the flexible and customizable. Also for the values of our community, which we felt were really important. So, and then it has a lot of assessment tools, including mini assessments, checkpoints, pre and post tests that you can choose from that are also leveled. So at each grade level. So, if you felt like a student was at a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, and things like that. So that is what those were our favorite things about the comprehensive health skills. And then what I did, this is after I piloted both curricula. I had my students fill out a little sheet, because I wanted their feedback too. It was important for me to get, how they enjoyed it. And so these were some of the things that my students said about comprehensive health skills. And, they're middle schoolers. So that was kind of like pulling teeth a little bit. But these were some of the ones that I saw. I liked how it was set up more than the other one. It was easy to find stuff. Again, very critical for our students to be able to access it, number one. I liked the food label investigation thing. That was cool, and I learned a lot. They were set up in different teams, and they were given food labels, and they had to critique the food labels and figure out like what food it was. And there were detectives and that kind of stuff. They really liked that one. It was way easier to get things on Canvas with CHS. The activities were better, more interesting, and not the same thing over and over again. So I think that what the students said ultimately backs up what we felt as teachers too. And so that's why we're hopefully encouraging us to move forward with comprehensive health skills. So.
Okay. The first one that I'm going to talk about is a curriculum titled Live Well. It's a nice title. Let's just breathe that in for a second. So it aligns with the Oregon and National Health Standards as well organized, user-friendly materials, including pre-made slide decks and up-to-date information. Similar to what Danny was talking about, very user-friendly and very applicable to high school students and engaging. One of the things, and it says editable slides and materials allow for adjustments based on our classroom dynamics. Sometimes you might think, okay, are you editing the content? No, not really. It's like a slide might have 27 things on it, so it's hard for students to read. We can break that up and maybe add images of a burger and pasta or whatever it is with nutrition. Whereas our previous curriculum, it was set and there are PDFs and we couldn't edit it. So sometimes if we put information up or we had handouts, it was just overwhelming. And so just kind of breaking up how we deliver that message, but the content is still the same. We're not changing the content. Like we said, engaging and relevant, inclusive and representation of all populations of students, and it responds to our community needs and values. An example was a nutrition lesson that I pulled from Live Well in regards to nutrients, having students take notes through a slide deck, and then they had to come up with a public service announcement regarding that. And how I kind of tailored that is students could write out the public service announcement, or they could go make a little video, whether it was condemning energy drinks or talking about the value of fiber in your diet, et cetera, et cetera. And so there's ways that we can appeal to different learners and how they want to and are comfortable presenting that information. Like we know some are very great public speakers and some would start crying in front of the class, which I've had with students in the past. So them demonstrating their knowledge in multiple ways, and the Live Well curriculum does a great job of that. And again, it adheres to all the state and national standards and each of those units that we teach: nutrition, first aid, human sexuality, mental and emotional health. It's very robust, and we can pull from that. And we were just really happy to land with Live Well, because we looked at a lot of curriculums, and by the end of it, our eyes were crossing. And but this just is really, really friendly for us as teachers, and we're really excited about it for our students. You're up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Emily Gustafson. I also teach at the high school, and I am going to talk about our supplementary curriculum that we are hoping to adopt. We have the 3 R's: rights, respect, and responsibility, and then the Stanford Safety First and Tobacco Prevention Toolkit. So to follow up on Raheem said, the Live Well is a great initial curriculum, one that is very user-friendly, very everyday, easy peasy. And we wanted to have an opportunity to supplement in regards to the human sexuality unit, as well as our drug unit, essentially. And we chose these 2 because I feel like our team felt like they had an opportunity, to your point, Dr. Downs, to have a little bit more face-to-face. If the class felt comfortable in spaces, there were lessons that provided more discussion, more opportunity to talk, more moving around the classroom, to be just more authentically engaging. And it allowed, again, as you can see, it's aligned with state standards, all of that goodness. But it also felt very relevant and engaging to our population, to our community, and it encompasses and is inclusive and represents all the folks. And so this felt like a great opportunity for us to choose both of these as supplementary curriculum to use in conjunction with, hopefully, Live Well.
Any questions?
I really appreciate all the work that everyone's done on the curriculum and on making the opt-out forms more user-friendly and just directly communicating to parents. As a parent who has mistaken an opt-out form for a consent form in the past, and got an email from the school saying, "Hey, did you mean to do this, or were you mistaken?" I was mistaken. So that's very appreciated.
Great. Thank you.
I would agree. For as long as I've been up here, I've had parents say, I didn't really want to involve my kid. I just opt them out of everything because the standard is something I don't want the school to teach my child. And very often when I've gone and asked for the actual lesson, I'm like, whoa, this looks not really anything like quite what you would imagine reading the standard. And it's been pretty frustrating that parents can't look at it easily. And so I know so many parents who just across the board opt out of all their health lessons. And that's not great, right? I mean, I feel like our kids really do need to be involved in learning about health, and they already get very limited amounts of it in school. So I really appreciate making the shift to something that people can look up and feel confident or comfortable with, or at least make more independent decisions about each lesson, as you know, as opposed to opting out across the board. So thank you for putting the work into that.
Thank you.
I will say I did go to the curriculum night, whatever it was, March, I think, it was a while back.
Mhm.
But I got to see how you log in, how you can view things, and I think that's how it's gonna work, right? Is that just like there's like a little login, you can see the health curriculum.
That is our understanding.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be very similar to what you saw.
It was,
full
yeah,
access.
it was really, so those who are watching, it's really simple, very easy to do. And I thought the curriculum was great. It was a really high quality curriculum, so.
I was on the whole time, sorry. I think I wasn't talking. Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on a couple comments I made. This is, first, let me say, this is excellent. I mean, you're a little devil's advocate, I think. Abby alluded to the opt-out everything. Yes, it's usually around sexuality, okay? Now, what I'm a little bit distressed about is I'm now a parent and all this information is coming to me. My responsibility is to take an opt-out at a certain time. It may become overwhelming. How will we really know as a parent, I guess, who are the ones who are really concerned about that they didn't miss that and suddenly their kid is in that class and you know, it raises a concern that it's almost maybe too much. I don't know if that's clear enough.
The way our current system works is that we provide a notification prior to teaching each unit. Now, not every unit has an opt-out component, so it falls within 3 topic areas. So the hope is that if we plan well and we provide good communication, it won't feel overwhelming. It'll just feel like you're receiving these notifications for these select topics. But I think you're right. I think in the modern age, information comes at us constantly, so many emails. So right now our approach is to change the language so you don't have to put on your reading glasses and think really deeply about what the standard could mean, but rather it's here's the lesson. We hope that is helpful, but we are trying to strike a balance between we want a regular notification so you don't have to go back and refer to something from 8 months ago, but also noting that there's so much communication that happens. So, yeah.
And I would just also try and enforce or relay the idea that if there's questions from parents, like we as teachers, and I'll speak for Raheem and myself anyway, that like if you have a question, like please ask it of us so that we can dispel any misconception before moving in. Because as the previous opt-out form went, it led with the standard, which is some scary language for a lot of people. And we would love to answer any questions prior to those units from, or those lessons from happening, to dispel any question and just answer any questions. Because there's nothing to hide. And oftentimes the standard reads a little intense.
I would echo that at the middle school, same thing. We would please ask the teachers. We would love to converse with you guys and really, you know, be able to answer those questions ahead of time, because she's exactly right.
I think we've come a long way in this type of curriculum over the past few years, because it was originally, here's the binder and you physically have to go to a school and look at it. And then parents said that's not good enough. And then now we do get these emails, even with the old curriculum, it's still that we are receiving the emails to opt out. And I think parents do appreciate that now that they have that option, but this just streamlines it even more. And I think we're just headed in the right direction with making it less scary, but giving parents the opportunity to view it at home and not have to drive down to a school and sit there with a binder. Yeah, well, I think we're doing, I think we're in the right, headed in the right direction. So thank you for all your work in this.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, secondary science instruction materials adoption with Millie Wilkinson, Sarah McCusker, and April DeWeese.
Hi, everybody. Last time it was elementary science. This time you get to see part 2, high school science. So tonight we are recommending materials for high school science, specifically advanced placement courses and science electives. So you saw this last month. This is the K-12 vision statement for science. This was drafted by the K-12 science team. And again, I won't read it to you because it's not brand new, but similar to what Matt and Abby mentioned, they saw in elementary classrooms really an emphasis around that curiosity, inquiry, and students making sense themselves through critical thinking and looking at real world phenomena. So again, this was kind of our touchstone throughout this process and looking at different curricula for high school. Next, Sarah McCusker is going to talk a little bit more about the process. She's our secondary teaching and learning TOSA. All right, good evening. As Millie mentioned, that was the K-12 vision. So more specifically looking at the high school team in particular, these are the guiding principles that those teams use to look at instructional materials. And they utilize these 5 guiding principles: using and evaluating evidence, student inquiry and choice, rigor, investigation, and social collaboration. So really the goal is that all science courses at the high school would be organized and have these principles at their core. And so we kept these in mind every time we were talking about our courses and thinking about instructional materials and how they would be used to support our different courses at the high school. So if we think back to the last couple of years, we came to you last year talking about our instructional core for science at the high school and made a pretty big shift. Back in 2023, the science team identified a new course sequence, shifting from biology, chemistry, and physics to a life physical A, B, and C sequence that students would take their freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Those have now been rebranded a little bit to Life Physical 1, 2, and 3 to clarify that they take those over the course of 3 years instead of within 1 year. Last spring, the team identified new materials for those life and physical sequences. And then this fall, they were able to launch and teach for the first time Life and Physical A. Those classes went great. We had freshmen who took those for the first time. And the teams were able to implement those new courses. Again, that's when we realized we really should be calling it Life and Physical 1. And then right now, actually, this spring, they're getting ready and prepared to launch Life 2 and Physical 2 next year. So that work is continuing. And we're even looking ahead to what Life 3 and Physical 3 will look like the following year. So we're still working on that core sequence and the reorganization of what those courses will look like. But meanwhile, we still needed to come back and revisit all the other science courses, all of the electives and the AP offerings that students take beyond just those basic core sequence. So that's the other work the team did this year. They've been very busy. Our science teachers have been hard at work all year. And so they looked at what courses would need to be reorganized based on the life and physical sequence that's different, what new materials would we need to adopt, and how would things change or not change, and how could we support these new courses, or sorry, existing courses and some new courses, but how could we support the electives and AP courses moving forward? So to talk a little bit about the decisions we made, I'm going to introduce April DeWeese, who's the department coordinator for science at the high school.
Button is the click.
On the right side, that arrow.
Got that. Okay. Hi, everybody. April DeWeese from Sherwood High School. I've been a teacher for 25 years in this district, so long time being here. First time at the board member, at a board meeting to present. Sorry. Okay. And click. There we go. So at the AP level, we have a couple of teachers that do AP Chem and AP Physics, and they alternate those every other year. The AP Chem book that they've chosen was selected because this was what they thought was the most clear and conversational tone. They really liked the pictures, the graphics, and problems that were super accessible, and the order of topics built conceptually in a manner that made it really approachable. The supplemental materials that came with this particular book also enhance students' experience and provide a wealth of additional resources. For the physics book, college physics, more than any of the other physics books that they looked at, this is the one that really helped bridge that college level physics down to the high school environment. And so they had really specific scaffolding and examples that helped bridge that gap. So this was the favorite there. With AP Bio, the team did look at several of the new resources that are available, but really found that the existing texts that they had really still fit the needs that we have more than any of the new books. They thought it was still engaging and that students enjoyed reading it and had success with it already. And it has a lot of visuals and accessibility features that help students engage in those advanced topics. The AP Environmental Science class is a new one that we'll be bringing on in the fall. And the team was really excited to find that there's a good number of resources. I think AP is just bringing this on, not just at Sherwood High School, but like part of their branded curriculum. But found a number of good resources that included, again, case studies, and they were excited to find one that even had local connections. The text was engaging, user-friendly, and they had a good online platform that really will enhance the course experience for students, particularly in the lab part. Click. There we go. No. Click. There we go. Anatomy Physiology, a class that's long-standing at the high school. That book was really able to meet a variety of needs of our team. It's a great physical textbook for in-class learning, as well as engaging online tools, such as the virtual dissection piece, as well as updated graphics. They liked that it provided student-centered and skill-based lab manuals, and that was foundational to success in AP, or Anatomy Physiology. All right. Click, there we go. The astronomy class. In contrast with the other texts that they did look at, this is the one that really was organized in the most logical way, that was approachable, that made it accessible at the high school level. They really also preferred that it and liked that it created meaningful connections for students' lives, as well as covering both history and technology within the astronomy field. Okay, finally, my field. For forensic science, we did in fact choose to readopt the existing resource. The new version is changed so minorly that it really wasn't worth the expense, and we still really prefer this one, as it does the most authentic version of what happens in a crime lab at the level of doing the labs and the activities, whether it's the chemistry, physics, or any of those kinds of things. It still has a lot of great case studies and scenarios and examples that give kids an opportunity to do the critical thinking piece. And, you know, they are engaged and interested in this as a topic. For botany, this class is readopting the assortment of resources that have been really personally curated with an idea in mind of students being out in the field, doing hands-on activities that allow them to identify and how they would use various plants. We found success with this sequence of books already, and it really allows them to be used both in the class and in the field as learners. And, you know, most of us, numbers have these books at home already. And lastly, the environmental science texts, again, are a variety of curated materials from a wide variety of sources. Again, we like that they access real-world situations and scenarios from current research from around the country. Many of them have been updated for this adoption cycle, but it really gives that real-world and current research feel to it. So with that, can we go back to Millie, please? All right, click. There you go.
Okay, so the high school science materials were also a part of the community review night in March, and some of the materials are textbooks, so those can be viewed in the office here at the district office, and everything else is accessible digitally on the Teaching and Learning website, as is the feedback form for input, and that remains open. And with that, we're ready for any questions you might have for us.
I don't have a question, but the amount of work that went into that, I'm sure was tremendous and it is not lost on us. And can I take your botany class?
I know, I want to take the forensic
Can
science
I
class.
pass? No, pass that. No, I really appreciate this. Like it gets me excited now as like I'm an adult. I look at these books and I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like I really appreciate the work that went into this. It gets me excited and then I can try and translate that to my kids, which will probably fail, but I can still try.
Teachers worked really hard.
I also just want to say, I mean, having been a former high school teacher, having taught some high school science, I know the lift that it was just to get that from a biology, chemistry, physics tradition, which is what I taught in. And I think it's so great that we're now doing this in a much more 3-year scaffold because, having tried to teach 9th grade biology, and you're like, okay. I mean, it's like how depth do you go at 9th grade, right? And so being able to pull that off, I think is great. In addition to this, I love seeing all these other supplemental elective sciences or whatever we're calling it. I mean, astronomy, like I feel like that's a science that just gets left out all the time, right? Nobody ever touches it. And so being able to have those opportunities for our kids, I think is just absolutely wonderful. This is a very, very rich program that you guys have put together. So you should feel really good about what you're offering. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have a quick clarification question, and that this is a lot of science. It's amazing. But you're intersecting two different philosophies, really. And so the groups that's starting with life science, we'll call life 1, 2, 3. Does everyone have to take life 1, 2, 3? Or can you take one and then I like biology, so I'll take AP Bio? So can you shift and shape?
Yeah, so we've really tried hard to craft this in a way where we've put together the sequence where right now it's life 1, physical 1, then as a sophomore, physical 2, life 2, because we really want to leverage some chemistry pieces that we need to do the biochemistry part in the biology piece. And then by the time they're at the junior level, we've got a little bit more of the environmental science thing happening. But we have put together that plan of how would various trimesters of AP, fill in the blank, take the place of the physical 1 or physical 2. And it's not a 1-to-1. Sometimes you have to take all 3 trimesters of AP to take care of physical 2. Because we're making sure that we're covering those standards in that time frame at that level. And so we are looking for the ability of kids to be able to move to the AP version. And we really wanted them to be able to have met chemistry and physics while they were freshmen to know whether they were going to enjoy those things early on and be able to try to get into those classes, not just accidentally find them later on.
No, that totally makes sense. But
Yeah.
but I'm just starting as a freshman.
Yeah.
I have to take all 1, 2, and 3.
No, you'll take life 1 and physical 1. And
Right.
then,
And then you have 2 and
yes,
2 and
you
3
need
and
3 credits of science to graduate.
Well, I understand that.
Mhm.
But then AP Bio doesn't count as science.
It does.
Well, how is there enough time
So
to
we-
fit it all in?
Right, so
It's
we've put
almost
together a
impossible.
matrix where the biology that we're offering is in 3 trimesters. And yes, you can opt into AP environmental science, AP bio, as some other things. And we've looked at what the translation is. And so Sarah, if you
Let me
wanna
ask you a
chime in-
different way.
Yeah,
Let
So
me ask you a different way.
after you take, everyone takes life 1 and physical 1, and then you can decide after that, do you want to take some AP classes your sophomore year, or do you want to continue on the regular life 2, physical 2 route? And we have it mapped out to tell you which AP classes would take the place of the
Yes.
standard
Yeah.
route. There's also some non-AP classes that could substitute. For example, when kids get to their junior year, they would be able to choose, do they want to take the standard physical 3 class or astronomy? Astronomy will be able to take the place of physical 3 And it's not an AP class, it's astronomy, but it will cover all the same standards of physical 3. So it's not just for a kid who wants to take AP that they'll have that option. There will also be some on grade level options that will be what we call selectives, meaning you've selected to take an alternative class to take the place of that standard route.
Yeah, so the student will have to pay attention because you hate to be a senior and all of a sudden find out I have to take life 2.
Yes, and that's
You don't
why
want that to happen.
that forecasting process is very important, and counselors help with that, and that course selection guide, and the counselors are really good about, you know, it's a joint process with counselors and administration. They have very careful documents where they, you know, are guided to make sure you choose this class and here are your options, and it's a guided process. We make sure to support them in that. We don't want to put a student in that situation where they're get to the end of senior year and they're missing something. But we want to give them some choices in what they can take, while also making sure, as April pointed out, that everyone gets those basic science standards in the different fields. So, yeah.
So, and I imagine too, a lot of students just take some of these as extra electives, right? Because you have
Absolutely.
science is like trimester 1, trimester 2, and then I want to take astronomy for trimester 3.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I assume that was happening often.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can absolutely be electives, or they take a class and realize, I love this. I want to take something else that relates to this, even though I don't need this credit. This is what I like, and I want to take another elective. Yeah.
And then are those sequence sheets communicated to parents also, just to be able to work with? Because I guess the opposite thing would be maybe you go too far down the general path and then you'd say like, oh, well, I wanted to take AP chemistry. And it's like, oh, I could have swapped that out for a class that I had already taken.
Yes.
And so just
It's-
being able to help everybody plan their way, because it is an amazing array of options. And I could see a lot of people wanting to take as many of these as they possibly can or that they want to. And so just making sure the tools are out there for parents and students to forecast and find their way through.
Absolutely, for sure. So the easiest way to see is it's all in the academic planning guide, which is always on the website. And it's also, you know, pushed out to students each year around January, February, when forecasting takes place. And that's when there's a lot of conversations about it. Students also receive like lessons in their homeroom about it. Like that's when there's a lot of conversation about forecasting, but it's always on the school website. And because we are in the middle of rolling out this new sequence, there isn't all the information in there yet. So for example, physical 3 and life 3 aren't in there yet because those classes don't technically exist yet because we're just about to roll out physical 2 and life 2 next year. And so it's sort of a domino effect where we're rolling out 1 year with each year's class. But so, you know, the current freshmen, like as they get older, we'll roll out another year of options for them. And so then as they get older, we'll say, okay, here are your next year of options. And then that will become more and more available to them.
And just so you know, last week they sent out the "Are you sure you want these classes?" email to the high schoolers. So you do get an update towards May where you're like, speak now, forever hold your peace. So they do a great job. It can be complicated. Forecasting can be complicated at the high school level, but I have found that the counselors work very well and make sure that you are taking what you should be taking. And if you need to change, they catch your mistakes if you email. So just FYI, it's not all done in January, February. You have a little bit of time to fix your mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to action items. We are going to view the strategic plan from our student Kylie Yamanaka. You're up.
And as Kylie is going, I just wanted to, first of all, thank her for joining us, not only tonight, but also through our entire journey of helping to design the strategic plan. Our team has been working on this for this entire year. In fact, when I had an opportunity to join us last July, you know, this was a a conversation that came to me from you as a board, as we look together to think about how do we update a strategic design process and plan. And it was time and it was relevant. And so I just wanted to start by showing the folks that were on it. We had a great group that joined us. There were students, community members, union leaders, teachers, administrators, our team, a couple folks on Marlene and myself. And there they are. Thank you. And it was just wonderful to have this group of committed folks together throughout this entire school year to hear some of the highlights of what Kylie's going to be presenting tonight. And I've had an opportunity to be a part of some other strategic designs, and I just wanted to thank and compliment this group for how they came together prepared, engaged, and solely committed to just improving the experience for our students and adults in our system for Sherwood School District. And so we are proud tonight to present our 2025 to 2030 strategic design. And Kylie, welcome. Thanks for coming tonight.
Hi guys, I'm Kylie. I'm a senior at the high school, and once I graduate, I'm gonna go to U of O. I want to major in elementary education and minor in Spanish. I want to thank everyone who nominated me to be a part of this committee. It's been a privilege and it's been really rewarding being able to work with a bunch of new people that I haven't been able to before. So for the first meeting, we started off with a vision statement, and we landed on how do we inspire a joyful community of learners. During this meeting, we highlighted what the most important word we thought in this question was, and the two that stood out the most to everyone was inspire and community. We thought the inspire was a huge part of this question because we want our teachers to be able to create an inspirational environment and for it to have a big impact on the staff and students and just like the drive that students have. And then for community, we really wanted to have an inclusive environment and just overall very positive and somewhere where everyone has a place. So everyone has a sense of community, whether it's for sports or the arts or just ethnicity, any type of category, they have a community to support them. During the next meeting, we reviewed achievement data and there were a lot of things that surprised us. One of the things was math scores. We really wanted to see an increase in outcomes for students, and I was particularly surprised by how many students qualified for free and reduced lunch. We found that about 1 in 4, which is about 25%, were able to get free or reduced lunch, which was just extremely surprising to me, considering Sherwood is known to be a pretty well-off city. Then after that, our next meeting discussed a portrait of a student. So this is what our portrait of a student looked like. We wanted every student to be equipped with being a lifelong learner, an engaged citizen, collaborative and communicative, resilient and responsible, and finally happy and healthy. Our hope is that every graduate of Sherwood would embrace these qualities as they go from kindergarten to 12th grade and beyond. During this activity, we took previous data from site councils and began to organize them around what we'd really want students to look like in our Sherwood School District. In this third meeting, our intended outcomes were designed based off the data we saw in the portrait of a student, which included that all students will graduate Sherwood High School with agency and competence in order to prepare for future success, that we'd increase access and participation in well-rounded programs such as STEM, CTE, and the arts,
We also wanted all schools to implement components of high quality instructional systems like MTSS. We also would like to see higher rates of achievement in both math and language arts, specifically in early literacy. We especially want students to be able to read by 3rd grade. Finally, we want students to be able to come to school regularly and ready to learn. And yeah.
And I think Director Mueller is going to talk a little bit about the metric slide.
Yes, that's correct. This is a busy slide. Kylie, thank you for that presentation. You're doing great. It's a busy slide, so rather than just dive into these numbers, the idea was that we have these wonderful notions about a student and ideas of their competency or achievements that Kylie outlined. But then there was a push, and is a push to, well, how can we, one, measure it, perhaps, and how can we show that we are achieving these improvements? So in those 5 categories she outlined, there are subsets or little measuring tools like a thermometer that we picked. They aren't perfect, but we picked little things that we can actually measure from students, from parents, from teachers, and collect this data and make it public information. And then we can track, are we doing things each year a certain way? And are we improving? Take a real easy one, 3rd grade literacy. So we know where we are now, reading literacy, and we want to project improvement over the next 5 years. And we project it at this rate. If we're not doing it, we didn't accomplish that goal. If we did do it, wonderful. And how did we do it? How did we do it? How did we not do it? What adjustments along the way do we need to make? So each year at school will be looked at to make these adjustments to the plan to institute different ideas to teachers, staff, to improve and meet the goals. It's a living document. It isn't static. So we're looking at it every year. We're measuring a lot of variables every year that are outlined here. And hopefully they match the success of our students. So that's the idea.
Excellent job. Thank you. All right. And I'm going to talk a little bit here about next steps with the plan. So like Director Mueller said, we are going to use this as a living document, which means we will share where we are on our goals with you and update the board yearly. And then we will make that plan with our administrative team and our staff on how to execute those goals. That will be included in our school improvement plans, our district improvement or department improvement plans. All of that will be intertwined. And then our outcomes are actually the same outcomes that we have for integrated programs. And so we align those 2 things because we were going to, we want to be as aligned as possible as we continue to make our goals and make progress towards our goals. The plan will be updated yearly. You'll notice that there are some things we don't have baseline data for. We've never collected it. And so we'll have to add those in as we go through. There's a couple of items there. And then there's a couple of items that will update fairly quickly because, for example, students, we took AP participation rates from last year. We're really starting this plan for this year. And so those will be adjusted for this year. But students are taking AP tests right now, so we don't have their participation rates until they complete that process. And then finally, you'll kind of see a presentation like this. Where we report out to the board and community over the next 5 years. And we're really excited about this work. It's very ambitious work, but we believe that we're in a really good place to see some great progress towards meeting these goals and outcomes. Any questions?
Before we hop into questions, I just want to add, first of all, thank you, Kylie. You rocked it. A lot of hard work. One thing to note here, we made the conscious decision to, as Marlene just mentioned, to kind of go for it in the sense of looking at some metrics and putting them out there. We know that that is not out of a design and a desire to add stress to the system for all those involved, from those in the classroom to those supporting the classroom to the students themselves. But what we also know is that we think that we do well when we can look together at something to have some shared vision. And so one of the things that I'm looking for out of our team here as the board superintendent connection is that in our summer workshop, I would love us to spend some time on this together. And what I would ideally see is we would be able to take some of these long-term goals and outcomes and as a group to say, hey, these are shared goals that we have. And as we look ahead into next year, maybe we prioritize and pick 2 that we say as a board superintendent, we're going to look together at. And let's put some areas of focus. Not that the others aren't important, not that we don't strategize about them, but we're going to focus and prioritize on them and create shared goals together that really, I think, can meet the need that I often hear from you, which was, you know, how do we really make sure we're moving the mission here? How are we moving ahead? And so one of the designs out of this living document is to do just that, to make sure it's a way and a guide for us to really provide a vibrant learning community for us and a joyful one where Kylie and her friends want to go to school, want to be a part of it, and want to be a teacher someday, right? Very cool, by the way. So I just wanted to share, like, that's my heart in this work, that this isn't something that just maybe looks nice and then it's set aside. I actually see this as having it at our meetings. And we're able to reference, we're able to talk about it. When we're discussing budget, when we're discussing adoptions, how do they talk to this document? And I'm just appreciative of the entire group because the way they came and worked together was really amazing. Hearing from parents and community members, people that didn't have kids in the schools, but care, was just really powerful. And so again, I'm thankful to the committee. I'm thankful to Director Mueller for his participation as the board liaison in there. And yeah, now we'll take any questions. I just want to make sure that the group knew this. So.
I don't really have a question, but I do want to say how much I appreciate your time. I know Hans has been really good at communicating back out to the other board members. That's the goal of us independently being on some of these committees. And he's done a really good job of that and given us your guys' feedback. And then hopefully he's taken ours in as well. I love anytime we're able to put numbers to anything and see how we're progressing. So that's awesome. I know we talked about some of the goals. We don't really have numbers currently that totally match those goals. And that's hard because you have to like create a way to research that and study that. And so I'm sure we'll develop some of those metrics down the road. But this is such an impressive start to a strategic plan. And it is exciting to have something to look at and really put some energy and focus towards. So thank you for your hard work on this. We appreciate it.
I'll just make a quick comment. Having been a teacher in a few different districts, I've seen a bunch of these plans, and this is the first one that's really tried to address things that otherwise are not like obvious things like, oh, can you read at 3rd grade? Yeah, okay, well, that's something all districts are tracking. But the effort to try to track things like you're happy and healthy and want to be at school, and trying to find ways to track those things, I think is powerful, and I'm glad to see that in this plan. This is very ambitious, and this is a lot of work that's been done. This is by far the most detailed, comprehensive plan I've ever seen. So it's really good.
Sorry, excuse me. This document is amazing. It's long overdue because we've had a lot of distractions, and this is a sign that our district is getting back to normal and we are able to serve our community and serve our district and serve our kids by having this living document that we can refer to over the next 5 years and track all things statistically with numbers, not just scores, but health and happiness, participation rates in extracurriculars. All those things form the student that we're trying to make joyful in this community. So I'm really proud that we were able to accomplish this, even this year, given the fact we've had so much change over the last 3 years alone. So good work. And I'm happy, and I'm so happy that you're going to be a teacher. Don't give up. Don't give up. We'll hire you back. We don't do that though. He'll do that.
Two things. One, I really appreciate how specific the document is. One of the things, I won't put anybody on blast, but one of the things when you read in other educational environments, there's a lot of like, oh, our goal is to make sure every student is meeting, every student gets thrown around a lot, and there's not a lot of discussion of, well, how many students currently are meeting that, and are you doing a better job this year than you did last year? And I really appreciate the fact that this document will put us in a position to ask and answer those questions and even identify data that, is really useful that we don't currently have. And so we'll start collecting it now. I think that's great. And then hopefully, just to echo, that this can be a document that really focuses us on improvement and asking good questions around what's working and what's not working, rather than, turning around at the end of a period and like laying blame. It really is a way to make sure we are getting the results we want. And if we're not seeing those, we can ask better questions and adjust accordingly. So thank you to everybody who gave us the tool to hopefully better manage and improve outcomes in the future.
And we are seeking tonight that the board approves the strategic plan. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that.
So I'm gonna just add one other
Yeah.
thing. I think the other thing that is, it's a big step to start. And I don't want the community or other board members to feel, or anybody really in the community, not everything is in here, but it's purposely not left out. But when we move through and look at what we're achieving, we'll add things. There are topics that are still hot button that we need to address, and they'll work their way into this and work it and be worked in and worked out. So, and solved. So I was really happy with everybody that was in the group agreeing to say, we just don't want something that we put on a wall. We want something that has motion, can be corrected, can be added to, taken away from. So I think it's a big start. It's very different, and I think it'll work really well.
Okay, and with that, do I have a recommended motion? Yeah. Or not, whatever.
I recommend we adopt the proposed strategic plan as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
For all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The strategic plan is adopted 5-0. Up next, we have Mr. Gary Bennett talking about appropriations transfer Fund 100 from the general fund and another. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Carson. I have actually two on the agenda tonight. So appropriations are budgetary limits of spending set on public agencies. They're set during the adoption process. We can spend less than that, but if we want to spend more than you've appropriated, we need to come ask for permission. So tonight I have two examples of things, two issues where we need to appropriate more funds in order to stay within our appropriated limits. So the first is a transfer in the general fund. And both of these are transfers from contingency to some other area. There's no additional funds appropriated. It's just moving funds you've already appropriated into a different category. So the first one comes from the general fund in an overspending in function 2000 support services, which is things like landscape maintenance, maintenance of buildings. There's a whole variety of things that go into support services. And there's a couple reasons we're over budget in this. One, we had an ice storm and we incurred over $1 million worth of expenses. We didn't anticipate that bill being anywhere near that much when we built this year's budget. So we have about $766,000 in unappropriated expenses. We did get reimbursed for those by our insurance company. There's a $5,000 deductible, but other than that $5,000, they paid all of it. But we still need authority to spend those additional funds, even though we have additional revenue associated with those funds. In addition, as we talked about in the budget committee meeting just prior to this, we did not budget enough money for purchase services last year, which deals with things like our landscaping contract, water usage, electricity, all those different things. And so tonight I am requesting an appropriations transfer of $1,116,702 from contingency in function code 6,000 to 2,000 support services. And I think the key thing that I want to say about both of these is that the ending fund balance that we've been talking about will not be affected by this appropriations transfer. Savings in other areas, additional revenue, things like that will cover that, and this should not. All of this is incorporated into the forecast already, so it doesn't change anything except where the money is appropriated. Any questions about that? I'm asking for approval of that tonight. I didn't put a motion on the agenda. I apologize for that.
So we can use the recommendation though in the back. Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to use the recommendation, do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt the resolution for appropriations transfer Fund 100, general fund as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And then the next one is appropriations transfer Fund 200 Special Revenue Fund.
So this is a similar situation where, since we passed the budget, we had a few things happen. One, Hawksview became a free meals for all students, and that caused our participation to go up 230%. So significant increase. In addition to that, on average across the district, breakfast is up 54% and lunch is up 15% district-wide. Our nutrition services supervisor's done a great she's a director actually, has done a great job of increasing meal options, bringing in more things that students want to eat, and that has increased our participation. It's also caused us to buy a lot more food, both of these things together, and we didn't appropriate enough money to account for this. And so we're anticipating revenues of at least $300,000 additional dollars this year. I think that's what about the coverage we'll need is. Lots of bills come in July and August that go back into the year. And so just to be cautious, I'm asking for a $500,000 transfer. I don't believe we'll use it tonight. But my request tonight is to transfer $500,000 from contingency in the 200 funds up to the Fund 3000, which is Enterprise and Community Services, Function 3000, which is Enterprise and Community Services, and that's a function code we use anytime we act like a business. And the only time we really do that is with nutrition services, but that is where I'd like the transfer to go. There's an emotion on the
Do I have a
summary again.
motion?
I make a motion to adopt the resolution for the appropriations transfer fund 200 special revenue fund as presented.
Danny, did that, your mic was blinking.
Well, oh, did it not go? I recommend adoption of the resolution for appropriation transfer fund 200 special revenue fund as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next up, we have Marlene Carroll with elementary science adoption, and this is the second read.
All right, so last month, the team brought to you the Mystery Science Curriculum, which is our new standards in GSS, Next Generation Science Standards, aligned and phenomena-based, which is a philosophy that we're moving to that aligns with those standards. And this is a renewal of a current curriculum that we're already using, and we're recommending it for adoption. We wanted to take a moment though to thank our board liaisons who participated and mentioned that they came and visited classrooms. It does take a lot of time to read and go through the variety of links that are sent to them throughout the year, and then visiting the classrooms. We really appreciate it. So I wanted to make note of that. that this year is Director Thornton and Director Hopkins. So thank you for doing that work. And we are bringing that to you tonight for second read and approval for adoption in our classrooms starting in the fall. Any questions? Nope. How about a motion?
I was not here last time, but I just wanted to say, as an elementary school parent, I really love the approach of shifting to question asking rather than just like fact learning. I think that that's a great way to get students excited about science and get them on the path. You know, we talked in the strategic plan about how early interest in development compounds, and I think this is a great way to get people ready for all of those high school science classes that apparently they've got in store. So great.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we adopt the proposed elementary science materials as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, our next meeting of the